Hello, welcome back to Ycft. This week we are talking about the prequel to 2009's Orphan, Orphan First Kill.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a relatively spoiler-free review, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But, it's right off the back, we will have to spoil the first film.
We're going to be spoiling the shit out of Orphan 2009.
So if you've not seen Orphan, come back, go watch it, then come back. Because it's very hard to talk about aspects of this prequel. Obviously, it doesn't then pass the prequel test, because I'd say you do need to have seen Orphan to get the most out of this film.
Yeah, it kind of bends your rule.
It bends my rule. But I had a ton of fun, so that's your warning.
Yeah.
We're going to spoil the shit out of the original 2009 movie. It came out in 2009, come on.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. What, 13 years ago?
So yeah.
Christ.
It is a prequel, and it's about how Esther escapes from the Sarn Institute and makes a life with a family in America that we know about from the first movie. Obviously, there's certain technical difficulties with this film, because Esther in the original film, this is a final warning. My little Predator spoiler thing is going to be going nuts. He's going nuts. Esther, who is the little girl, the orphan child, is not a little girl.
No,
she has a very rare hormone disorder, and in the first Orphan, she's actually 33 years old.
She's meant to be 33, yeah.
Obviously, she was played in the original by, at the time, 12-year-old Isabella Furman.
Isabel Furman.
Damn. Isabel Furman, that's embarrassing. Isabel Furman, who's played 9-year-old Esther and 33-year-old. And she's absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, doing the prequel, the main issue then is, when they filmed this 2 years ago, Isabel is now 23 years old.
Yes.
I think that's what most people seem to care about, is how well does it work.
How were they going to do this? Yeah. And which is a fair question.
That is a fair question. I think it works. It's a bit distracting at the beginning. I think because mentally in your head, you know...
That's the thing.
You know that she's not a little girl anymore. It's obvious. But I think even people who haven't seen the first one know when you see the poster that they've gassed it. I love the director... What's the name of the director?
Oh, for this one? William Brent Bell.
I mean, because he did The Boy and The Boy 2.
Yeah.
I am not a massive fan of those films, but I did really like this one.
I don't mind The Boy, but I have not seen Brahms 2.
It's not good.
I'm still really curious about it.
I can't. Another day.
Another video.
So they achieved this massive amount of de-aging by... They say no CGI. There is definitely a little bit of CGI going. There's even a VFX company credited for de-aging in the credits. So I think they've just done a little bit of smooth. I think what they mean is on set, so there's no green dots over her face. They've not done a photo scan of her face and then replaced.
Yeah.
There's no heavy CGI going in there, but there's definitely a little bit of VFX cleanup going on.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how they do it. There's two body doubles, little girl body doubles.
Yes.
For any scenes that are done from a distance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of the scenes have her crouching down, and all the other actors wearing massive platform boots. I've got a picture of this, I'll put that up. It's really funny, so that's how we get through the height difference.
It's just good old trickery.
There's a lot of really good forced perspective stuff, and one thing that I really like is they put contact lens in to make her eyes bigger. Like a child's. That was the biggest thing, actually. That sold it for me.
I really appreciate the fact that they went quite old school with how they managed to, deceive the audience in that sense. Because as you say, we know this is... Well, now she's 25, but when she was filming it, she was 23. We know this is a 23-year-old woman. But I could get past it very, very quickly, and I think it worked well.
A couple of scenes in, I'd say about 20 minutes into the movie, I kind of stopped noticing. You kind of just accept the situation you're in.
I think the only thing is her face, and you can't do much about that because she is now a woman. Her face has changed. Her face is a little bit longer.
I think through makeup they've puffed their cheeks out a little bit. But you can see it if you put the poster side by side. You can see it
clearly. But you know what? Whatever. I don't care. I do not care.
Yeah,
because she's great.
One thing I love is that the director said there's no way they would have done this without Isabel. They would never recast that character. Mm-hmm. And she also said she would never want anyone else playing that character.
Respect.
I just really enjoyed seeing her come back to play Esther.
Well, yeah. I mean, she said in an interview, didn't she, that even before there was a script, they went to her and asked her, look, will you do this? Because if you're not going to do this, we're not even going to bother writing the damn thing. So, you are this character. And I love that.
You had this interest. I saw you doing some research for this, of trying to find female horror icons, like slasher icons. We have a lot of female survivors that were horror icons, but there aren't that many slasher icons.
No, there aren't.
There's a couple of last one film, maybe.
We've got Freddy. We've got Jason. We've got Michael Myers. We've got Chucky, even. All from a certain era, but all have longevity. They also happen to be blokes. We don't have a lot of female slasher icons.
Yeah.
We just don't. I mean, to an extent, could you say Annabelle? But even then...
She's a doll.
She's a doll, and she technically belongs to a different subgenre entirely. She's, supernatural, religious horror. Mrs. Voorhees, but she's been outshined by her son.
Yeah.
Tiffany, potentially.
Yeah.
But I think she gets very overlooked as well. And it just got me thinking, we don't have that many.
Yeah. Now that she's come back for a second one.
Esther.
Yeah. I think Esther was already a horror icon after that first film, because the twist, no one can ever see that twist. I only first watched it a few years ago, and I'm usually quite good at working out twists.
Yeah.
I wasn't even close.
Yes. I wish I could remember my reaction when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first film twice now. I saw it once when it probably first came out, and it horrified me so much I never watched it again until very recently.
We rewatched it before going to see.
Freaked me
I'm really glad in the UK. I didn't find out till the day of that it wasn't available on streaming in the UK, but it was in select cinemas, so we actually got to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
I could go on a whole rant about how people don't know how to act in the cinema anymore, but I'll not.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shame.
That was a bit of a shame. Just FYI, for the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film are not time for you to scroll through TikTok with the volume on.
No. Nor should you in any film that you go and see.
Also, half our theatre turned up 10 minthink after the movie started. Which, it led to the screen being quite busy, which is really good.
Which is good, but
opening night.
Yeah.
But, I think what also really works for this film is, it could so easily have just been a retreading of the first one, but it isn't. The plot is actually really good. Julia Stiles.
The brilliant
is
Julia
fantastic.
Stiles. Yeah.
There is a twist. We're not going to go into it. Everyone's they're marketing you will not see this twist coming. It's I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming at all.
No, fair play. Because, you were saying earlier that the immediate problem you have when you come back to doing this film is the fact that our main actress is now a woman.
Yeah.
She is not a child anymore. The audience has that knowledge too.
Yeah.
And the audience also is in possession of the knowledge that this is a 33-year-old Estonian woman.
Yeah.
She is not a child. So this film, it could have very easily just retrod old ground. And,
I did find it quite amusing that, obviously in the first one, and the last scenes, they had to put makeup to make her look older as well. Because she had put makeup on.
Well, they put bags under her eyes.
Put bags under her eyes and stuff, because one, she's got rid of her makeup that makes her look
they give her
young in the
crow's
face.
feet as well.
Yeah,
obviously,
found that quite amusing.
The teeth, the crooked, blackened teeth, because, I don't know, she doesn't have a dentist back in Estonia, I guess. But so obviously the cat is out of the bag. And this film, it could have just been, she gets adopted by another family and, it's the same old thing. Obviously no spoilers, but the family that she ends up living with in this film, there is a secret that they have.
Yeah.
As well. And that kind of, it very much makes the film its own special thing.
Yeah.
It makes it different enough
Esther
from the first film.
In this one than you do in the original. Because the original one, you're following
the family.
You're following the family.
We begin with Vera Farmiga.
Yeah, we're following her character. This one, is it because we know what she is? You can't put that back away again, so you have to follow her again. But then, if you're following her, you don't want to make her too much of a sympathetic character, and I think they do a pretty good job of that.
The word that's been tossed around a few times, even by the cast themselves, is anti-hero.
Yeah.
And I never got that impression in the first film at all. In this film, yeah, and that makes a bit more sense.
I'm just going to say, I do believe the first film is a better film.
I agree.
It's a scarier
the first one is scarier.
This is just it's a good, fun outing.
It's good.
Seeing her revisit this character. It's a reprisal that I never thought I needed.
Well, this is the thing.
But now I would watch a dozen more films with this character.
But that's like, this film was so out of the blue. I mean,
Yeah.
it was literally 13 years ago since we had the first film.
I bet they massively regret killing off Esther at the end of the first film.
Spoiler.
I mean, I've put so many spoilers out there now. Like, because otherwise they had 13 years to do it while she was still young.
I think I remember when I first heard that they were doing another Orphan film, I was like, what? It just seemed like such a random thing. I was happy about it, and I was very curious, again, how they were going to do it, but I don't ever recall there being outcry or, like, demand for a new Orphan film.
Yeah.
So fair play for the fact that they've actually done this and revisited it. And yeah, this is a very, very fun
Yeah, I like how in
movie.
the credits they thanked Leonardo DiCaprio, because obviously he was
Yes.
the producer. He was the one who got he fought for Isabel to have the role in the first film.
He did. I did not know that. I knew he helped produce the first film, partly with his production company, but I did not know that it was Leo that saw her casting tape, and was like, put her to the front of the line, please.
Either you cast her or I take this elsewhere.
Or I'm going to go to a different company. Yeah. So fair play to Leo.
Yeah. You also got to see, for the first time, you got to see your favourite Dark Castle logo on the big screen.
I did, and I geeked out. So I'm a big fan of the Dark Castle movies, and they were horror they're still obviously going, but they kind of had their heyday in the early 2000s, and initially they were created to remake William Castle films, who was a filmmaker back in the
They abandoned
50s.
that pretty quickly.
Yeah, they remade 2 of William Castle's films, and then they kind of very swiftly moved into their own original content. Yeah, but to refresh your memory, they did films like Gothica, they did Ghost Ship, they did 13 Ghosts, they did a remake of House on Haunted Hill. Then they did a few other things outside of the genre.
And obviously did Orphan.
And then they did Orphan in 2009, which I think is probably their biggest film. And 13 years later, they've come back to do the sequel. So seeing their logo on the big screen, that was like, I think I gripped your arm in excitement when that
What I also like is, because the instant thought is, are they going to do another one?
Yeah.
The director said, like, he would do another one, but it all comes down to Isabel.
It does.
Yeah. And Isabel, I read this just this morning, who just seems to have had a ton. I also felt bad for Julia Stiles in interviews with the pair of them, because they definitely just mainly wanted to talk to Isabel about, because this is such a unique thing, having a character this all return to. We've seen a lot of de-aging, especially in Marvel films recently, and they seem to have pretty much mastered, like, making an older person middle-aged again. But going from a 23-year-old woman back to how she looked as a 12-year-old, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what everyone wants to ask about. They want to know the process, and but she has also said that she would, if people want one and they can come up with a good enough script, she would happily come back. So I don't see a reason, based on the reactions we've kind of seen and the experience we had watching it, I don't see a reason why we're not going to get a third one. Now that they know they can do it.
Yeah. Also, as well, because of the actress's age for this film, they can get away with a few more things that obviously they could not do with an 11-year-old girl on the set. Even though obviously there's a famous scene in the first film that is very disturbing.
It never gets easier to watch that.
No. But yeah, it stays with you. I mean, I'm not even necessarily talking about like a sexual component for First Kill. I just mean she's obviously an adult. So when you see her doing adult things, it's like a little bit easier to process. There's things that they just simply couldn't do back in 2009 with Isabel Fuhrman.
This is what everyone cares about. Does it work, and is it worth seeing? Yes, it's worth seeing. The plot is good. The characters are good. Is it as good as the first film? No. But I had so much fun with this movie. And just, they did it. They did manage, like, it's jarring in places.
It is.
But, like I said, you kind of just forget about it, because you just kind of get drawn into this. The character is back, a character we never thought we'd see again.
But this is it. This is a character that, has, as I say, I only saw the first film once, and that was enough for me. But I'd never forgotten it. I'd never, ever forgotten about that film.
I would rewatch this one.
And every time someone would bring up the film Orphan, I'd always be like, oh yeah, that was a brilliant film. I just can't watch it because it horrified me so much. And now the potential that this could turn into a franchise, I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I love this character a lot.
But my main thing is, if they are going to do another one, they can't just keep going further back.
Yeah.
I think they have to just retcon the ending and do a sequel. Get Vera Farmiga back and make it a revenge film.
Well, Vera is not.
They could even, because this was often described like by people production wise as like Chucky, because Chucky often uses children for when he's running in the background and stuff like that, and it did because obviously they did use children for certain scenes.
Yeah.
In this, and it did kind of feel like Chucky Child's Play in places.
Yeah.
Which was really cool, but I think they could do a Curse of Chucky thing where he's got the scars hidden and he's like covers up because she gets sliced up a bit at the end of
the first film.
So have it where she's like covered all of them up, and as the film goes on, the confrontation, like revealing the scar thing. You could do so much in a sequel to the original.
I
one.
think
That's the only way they can go.
A sequel is the only way. I mean, also just briefly to touch on the plot of this film, I didn't realise that this was kind of an issue that people had with the first film, but a lot of people pointed out that there was a plot hole in that. Well, how the hell does an Estonian woman end up in an American orphanage? Like, how the hell did she get?
Also, they thought she was Russian.
She is technically Estonian, but how the hell did she get over to America? And this film delves into how she gets over to America. So it kind of fixes that.
I never saw it as a plot hole. I was just like, that's just information we're not privy to.
Not information we're not privy to, yeah.
She's clearly very much...
But
one
that's
thing you point out
the
there that I never even realised is that with the original Orphan poster, it's not a direct photo of her. It's they mirror one half of her face because no one's face is perfectly symmetrical, but in that poster, she is.
That's why it looks a bit...
That looks
weird.
I never clocked that before, and they've done the same thing with this one.
Yeah, so even you look at it, and if you look at it long enough, it's like obviously it's a little girl, but it looks a bit off, and that's why, because the face is literally perfectly symmetrical, and no one's face actually is.
Yeah. I love the tagline of this one. There's always been something wrong with Esther.
Always been something wrong with Esther. I also just think it's so cool to have an actress so firmly associated with a character.
Yeah.
That's not also something we get with slashers. Not a lot of the time.
With like Robert Englund.
He's kind of like the only one. I mean, Brad Dourif, I guess.
Brad
with Chucky.
Dourif, yeah.
But, I mean, we've had loads of people playing Jason. Loads of people playing Michael Myers. You know, again, if you want to talk about Annabelle, I mean, she's mute. She's a doll.
Doesn't really need an actress.
Don't really need it. Yeah, exactly.
This film literally hinged on
her.
Does she want to do it? And I think future sequels are going to depend on whether she wants to do them. So she is a slasher icon.
She is a slasher icon.
She absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I just had a ton of fun.
I just love seeing Esther. Yeah. There are a few things that, as I said, we generally did prefer the first film. It is a better horror film. This was great. But there are a few things that I thought were a bit, maybe they could have done like a little bit more with that. Like there's a whole sort of thing on class commentary that is inferred, but it's never really kind of...
Yeah.
Also, they don't do that much with
certain, confrontations that, editing-wise, get a bit choppy because of the limitations of what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a few things.
They're basically, they reach the limitations of what they could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, it's like, if you didn't like the first film, then you're most likely not... You won't care for this one.
No.
This feels like a film that is made... for fans of the original.
Yeah, I think maybe again, without spoilers, the best way to describe it is your relationship to Esther in this film changes. Like what you feel for her, I think it changes a lot compared to what you feel for her in the first film. And yeah, I'm not, obviously it's so hard to talk not about spoilers, but there's also moments with certain characters where Esther is kind of, I don't know, she's given... some characters give her just as good back. Yeah. Which was a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. Also, they didn't go too far, but we don't know all of Esther's secrets.
No, we still don't know.
She's still... It's set, 2 years before the first one? I believe?
Yes.
So... Yes. She's still, 31
She's
at
31.
This point.
Her real name is Lena.
Lena, yeah. Alina?
Lena.
We still don't know most of her life story, so they could keep going back, but they'll fall into that trap of, we know the character can't be in that much peril because she's inevitably going to survive.
Yes.
Which is why I think they have to go forward. Have her in a coma or something like that after the events of the first film.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the only way I could think they could do it.
That's the thing. It's like in the first film, we learn that Esther was recently in a family where the house went ablaze and everyone else died, but Esther was the sole survivor. So kind of right away going into this film...
You know how this film has to end.
We know this is going to end with a fire. And there's just that's a fact that was established in the first film. That's not a spoiler. That's just something that was already, that's like canon.
The fire's in the trailer.
The fire is in the trailer, which beautiful shot of her going down the stairs. So
they still haven't learned how to do CG fire from the first.
They haven't, but I mean, even though that how this is inevitably kind of going to end,
you're invested in this plot.
I thought there was still enough tension.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I love seeing Julia Stiles and Isabel Fuhrman kind of play off each other a lot. Their relationship
when
was
you think
so
on set,
fun to watch.
The level of professionalism was taken because with her having to basically crouch down and Julia Stiles being a massive platform shoot, it's not an easy situation to act in.
It can't be, to take that scene seriously.
Yeah.
To take all of the scenes seriously.
Well, a lot of them said there's no on scene they often. It was hard to tell if what they were doing was going to work or not.
Yeah. And
I think the dailies were very important to show that what you're doing, it is working.
It is working. Yeah. I had so much fun with it, and I want to own it. I will watch it again. I actually think for me this film is a lot more rewatchable than the first one.
Yeah, because it's not as traumatizing.
It's not as traumatizing. Yeah. The first one is it's a difficult watch. There's no other way to describe it.
Yeah.
But Isabel clearly has so much fun playing her, and I think it must have been interesting for her playing her at a different age.
Yeah.
Where she can kind of give a little bit more and maybe understands.
We see a lot more of Esther in her private times where she can just act like herself again. We're seeing her take on the persona of Esther.
Yeah.
As she's kind of learning, practicing how to speak.
Hello,
this is all. That is stuff that's really interesting.
I love that. Also, this is just me now. If they are going to do another couple of these films, which they will have to do soon because Isabella's only going to age.
She's 25
more.
now.
Exactly. But I love the teeth and how they keep kind of coming back. Obviously, the first film, she takes them out. And then this film, we see a reference to the teeth again. I just hope that's a continuous thing.
Yeah.
We just keep seeing scenes with her taking out the teeth. I just love that little, that just becomes I don't know.
Yeah.
A little thing.
She's just a very cool character.
She is.
Listen, not something we ever thought we needed a return.
One of the most unique characters. Yeah, this film was so totally out of the blue, but now she is back. I kind of want to see more of her.
I'm up for at least another couple of these.
Yeah, and it was. I'm really happy. We saw it on opening night as well, which was great. So yeah, I hope the film does well. The first one is scarier, and I think the first one lingers with you. It's
a better made horror movie. This is just. It's a bit of a love letter to the fans.
But this one still did surprise me. This film could have been very basic and very ordinary, and they could have played it safe. But they do a few interesting things with other characters and with the plot. Yeah. And I'm very appreciative of that. I think it needed it, and it worked, in my opinion, anyway.
So yeah.
That was Orphan First Kill.
That's Orphan First Kill. Obviously, if you're in the UK, you have to go. I think it's, at least around here, it was just Odeon that's playing it.
I think it's limited select cinemas, isn't
it?
Select.
Yeah, so we couldn't get anything to view for it. Obviously, if you were living in America, it is in select cinemas, but it is on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
I think it's if you want more Orphan movies, go show support at the cinema for it. I don't even know how they work in viewership from streaming services in it, but I think you can show. By going to an actual cinema, you're literally putting your money on the table, I want to pay to watch this movie. And I think that's, if you want more films to be made, that's the best way to approach it.
It really, really is. And obviously now with the news that Cineworld is, potentially going under again, support cinemas, guys. Yeah. Support cinemas.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Nice to see you on a Tuesday.
Yeah. I've got to get it out on Tuesday then. I absolutely have to. We're recording this on Sunday. I've got 2 days.
We can do this.
I can do this.
I will be moral support.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll see you later in the week with our review of Jordan Peele's new film, Nope. So I'll see you soon.